"I apologize for hurting the members." Jin announces work project outside BTS. Jungkook silent during a Weverse broadcast that shocks ARMY in a live broadcast full of tension and uncertainty. Jin of BTS surprisingly announced that he is starting a work project outside BTS, a statement that was not only unexpected, but also included a deep apology to the members, especially to Jungkook, who sat silently next to him. Is this the beginning of a major change within BTS? That night's Weverse Live was unlike any usual broadcast. No intro music, no lighthearted jokes, and none of the cheerful atmosphere that usually fills the members' interactions with fans. Jin opened the broadcast with a serious face, speaking in a voice that sounded tense but firm. "I know this will surprise many people," he said, "but I feel I have to be honest with all of you. I'm working on a project outside BTS." Not only ARMY, but even insiders may have found that sentence deeply rattling. Jungkook, who was sitting next to him, usually an active participant in interactions, just looked down. No expression, no voice. A silence too deep to ignore. Jin continued with a brief, but meaningful explanation that this decision was not made suddenly. He stated that internal discussions had been ongoing for several months, even before he completed his military service. But what attracted the most attention was his admission that the process had hurt some parties, including the members. "I realize that this decision has made some members feel uncomfortable, perhaps even betrayed," he confessed. "And for that, I truly apologize. I never intended to hurt anyone." The statement immediately sparked a wave of speculation. Is there internal tension the public has not been aware of? Has Jin's project triggered a larger conflict or division? But the most striking thing was Jungkook's complete silence throughout the broadcast. His face was blank, his eyes unfocused, and occasionally he just took deep breaths, as if holding back something he couldn't express. Some fans even took the broadcast as a serious warning sign. Normally open and warm communication among BTS members, this time felt cold and distant. Jin tried to smile at a few points during the broadcast, but the smile didn't reach his eyes. Jungkook remained silent. Jin also emphasized that his project was not a music collaboration and had no direct connection with HYB or BTS. "This is a creative endeavor I've wanted to do for a long time. I cherish every moment with BTS, but I also want to grow as an individual," he explained. He didn't detail the field or partners involved in the project, but said he would provide more explanation in the coming weeks. However, this statement only deepened fans' concerns. Many began to wonder, had this decision passed the approval of all members? Did HYB approve of Jin's move? And why was all of this announced so suddenly in such a tense and emotional atmosphere? Meanwhile, Jungkook's silence became the hottest topic of discussion. Many ARMY read his body language as a sign of disagreement or even disappointment. Some fans believe Jungkook may have felt betrayed, given that he is known as the member most openly supporting the group's unity, even as individual activities began to emerge. Furthermore, Jin stated that the decision to make the project public was not meant to cause a stir, but as a form of transparency toward ARMY. "I want you to hear it from me directly, not from the media," he said. But the irony of that broadcast only raised larger questions about transparency and the internal dynamics of BTS today. Not a few Korean entertainment industry observers consider Jin's move as a form of personal transition that often happens to senior idols who have passed their peak popularity. But in the context of BTS, a group known for being solid and mutually supportive, such an independent step could be seen as the beginning of fragmentation. Fans responded in various ways. Some gave full support to Jin, stating that he has the right to develop himself outside of BTS. However, others were disappointed that the announcement was made without involving all the members and in an atmosphere that created emotional tension. The live broadcast ended without a closing greeting from Jungkook. Jin simply said, "Thank you for listening," and turned off the camera. Minutes later, the hashtags #JinMintimOff and #JungkookDiem topped the global trending topics, with millions of fans trying to process what had actually happened. The question now is this just a temporary project or the beginning of a permanent change in BTS's dynamics? Does Jungkook's attitude signal an irreparable rift, or just momentary disappointment? We can only wait for further clarification from HYB or the other members. But one thing is clear, that night marked a critical turning point in BTS history, a point where personal decisions, emotional wounds, and the group's future collided in a single broadcast that will never be forgotten. After Jin BTS's shocking statement about the work project outside the group that he delivered directly through a Weverse broadcast, many parties, especially ARMY, are still wrestling with a variety of emotions and major question marks. Is this truly an honest and sincere personal decision? Or is there another scenario deliberately crafted to create a wave of public attention? Is Jungkook's silence an authentic emotional response, or merely part of a narrative shaped by certain parties? We cannot turn a blind eye to the fact that the entertainment industry, especially K-pop, often packages reality in layers of dramatic narrative to maintain media attention. So, the question we must seriously ask is, did Jin really make this decision independently, or are there powers pushing him from behind the scenes? Jin conveyed an apology that sounded sincere, but we must not rush to assume everything presented on screen reflects reality. In the context of major artist management like BTS under HYB, it's very likely that every word, expression, even gesture has been strategically calculated. Is Jin's remorse truly personal? Or was that apology aimed at easing the psychological impact on a global fandom extremely sensitive to issues of division? It should be noted that several video clips from the broadcast have spread widely across platforms such as TikTok, Twitter, and YouTube, but not all viral information can be trusted as primary sources. Visual clips can be manipulated, context can be altered, and narratives can be steered in a certain direction. So, is it fair for us to instantly believe what we see without tracing the origin of the information? We must reassess critically, especially as there has been no follow-up official statement from HYB, nor clarification from other members. Is this a form of delayed transparency, or an attempt to conceal a larger conflict? Why did a broadcast that should have served as a communication medium with fans turn into a space for unusual emotional declarations? Jungkook's continued silence throughout the broadcast became the center of attention because in the context of communication, silence can be more striking than words. But we need to ask, was that silence a form of protest, shock, or perhaps an unspoken instruction to maintain a certain narrative? Jungkook is known as an expressive person, so his passivity in such a major moment is highly unusual and deserves careful analysis. While some fans accept Jin's decision as a form of personal growth, others voice disappointment because they feel this moment doesn't seem organic. They feel something big is being hidden or carefully wrapped to appear publicly acceptable. Is this really just a personal project with no impact on the group's future? Or is there actually an internal dynamic that cannot be openly revealed? Amid various speculations, skeptical views have also emerged that this could be part of a marketing strategy. Given the timing of the announcement not long after Jin's return from military service, and while the world's attention is focused on the individual activities of the members, there is suspicion that this drama was crafted to maintain public engagement with BTS. The question is, are the emotions displayed a reflection of reality? Or is this content production meticulously engineered? Therefore, we invite all readers and fans not to consume information blindly. Every instance of virality must be questioned. Every live broadcast must be examined from various angles. Every video clip must be viewed in full and in context. Are we witnessing the truth? Or are we unknowingly taking part in the consumption of a narrative that has been edited, adjusted, or even fabricated? It is important to highlight that the information circulating regarding this event comes from many media sources: TikTok, YouTube, Twitter, and several online media articles. However, no source has been able to fully verify the truth. Many video clips show only a small portion of the full broadcast, and the accompanying captions are often provocative. Therefore, we would like to ask you directly, do you truly believe that Jin made this decision without pressure? Does Jungkook's silence reflect emotional conflict, or is it just a passive communication strategy? Was the broadcast truly honest and spontaneous? Or had it gone through narrative editing by management? And most importantly, have we as fans been critical enough in distinguishing between fact and sensationalism? It is essential for all of us to adopt a reflective attitude in dealing with incidents like this. K-pop has become a global phenomenon that not only touches entertainment, but also the psychological and emotional aspects of its fans. Amid that emotional attachment, it is easy for us to lose objectivity. Therefore, we remind again, do not instantly believe every form of live broadcast, public statement, or viral